Concepts in a Teacup by HS Consultancy, presented by Harry Sewell.
Racial discrimination or racism? Is there a difference? Does it matter? Well, the Equality Act 2010 protects everyone from racial discrimination, irrespective of the colour of our skin, our racialized identity. The law prohibits discrimination. So we often kind of think about that as, name calling or people doing bad things to another or to another group based on their racialized identity and causing them detriment as a consequence of that. The law protects us all. That is racial discrimination. Racism really relates to that, but a bit more. It's about kind of acknowledging that there is a world order. So some people don't know this, but the conceptualization of race as we know it now is relatively recent, and all of the taxonomists, those kind of thinkers who tried to place human beings into racialized categories, did so with a hierarchy, with white people at the top and others kind of flowing from there. So the kind of thinking about race has always been one of hierarchy. And we've seen things like the transatlantic slave trade, which was kind of unique. So slavery has kind of been known since time immemorial, but the transatlantic slave trade was unique insofar as it was a racialized system, that the criteria that meant that some people felt they had the power to enslave others was that the others fell into a racialized category where they were considered to be inferior. One way of kind of thinking about it is currently people think, right, okay, we are higher order animals, so people will eat animals or put them in zoos or kind of use them for testing of pharmaceuticals or for cosmetics. Not so much now, and kind of whatever you're thinking about that, it comes from this kind of ideology, this belief that, well, as human beings, like, we're on this earth with this kind of God-given right to like lord it over the other animals. That's the same mentality that was behind the conceptualization of race, and it's documented. So again, it's not just about me kind of saying, oh, these are my views. You can kind of go away and read Charles White, Count Arthur de Gobineau, Carl Linnaeus. There are other taxonomists who did the same thing, where they seek to put human beings into categories with a hierarchy. And then you see these things, the kind of long shadow of that history showing up today in the assumptions about who's good at what, based on racialized identities, or we see it built into our structures with trading arrangements, and how international banks kind of have particular criteria linked to aid, and certain countries being unable to kind of come out of poverty, not because you don't have people working hard to do so, but that the kind of legacy of colonialism just kind of is still there. So we don't see everywhere, as we did before, kind of land-based colonialism, but you kind of get that kind of legacy that people are still finding it hard to get out of. And yeah, sometimes people say, well, we can't keep going back. We need to draw a line in the sand between now and the past. And that's the kind of point, is that the past is here, that we are still kind of living with those, trading arrangements, or, some of the kind of things. So a concrete example might be the way in which you could kind of see somewhere like Democratic Republic of Congo feeding the world more than 50% of the cobalt resource. For those of you who don't know, cobalt is a key ingredient in our digital age, in the devices, the mobile phones, the smartphones, the flat screen TVs, electric vehicles, our digital tablets, those kind of, techie things. Cobalt is so essential to those. And yeah, as I said, Democratic Republic of Congo feeds the world at least 50% of the cobalt resource. Now, most people would kind of imagine that that means DRC would be really wealthy. Now, I'm not saying it is solely because of things like the trading arrangements, but we are in a position where we in the global north can acquire these objects, and multiple of them, and kind of change them regularly sometimes, whilst people in the global south, in places like Democratic Republic of Congo, DRC for short, still remain in poverty. And kind of trying to understand what it is about the shape of our world that means that we can acquire and accumulate whilst we extract and exploit people in the supply chain. That really helps us understand the nature of racism. Simply put, someone doesn't need to leave their house to feel the impact of racism. It isn't just about the name calling or someone kind of doing that bad thing, the red flag stuff, but literally the world order just lives with us every single day.